Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome back to another in-depth review for Marvel Strike Force. Now, we have a legendary character to look at tonight. It will be the character that really ties the Wakandans together, and of course it is Shuri. Now, to let you know if she's worth investing in this video, various different sections we'll cover. We have the general overview, we look at her tags and how you unlock her, we've then got her stats. Next up it's the abilities, and I'll tell you how high you want to take her abilities. We then have the synergies, where we look at characters you want to avoid and characters she can work well with. And then finally we'll see where she places in the tier list. So let's start off with the general overview. Shuri then is a support class, and she is without a doubt the character that really ties the Wakandans together and takes them to another level. Now, when we look at the tags, it's Hero, Global, Tech, Support and Wakanda. Tech tag is a useful one, but really I think she would be wasted if you tried to fit her in a tech team when you can place her in the Wakandan team instead. Now, in regards to unlocking her, of course you've got that legendary event, so it's the 5 Spider-Verse characters. The one that will slow you down, and the one that really slowed me down, is Carnage, because he's locked behind War at the moment. But even if you can get her to 5-star, she can still perform really well at that level. So that's how you unlock her and her tags. Let's have a look at her stats. We start off here with the offensive stats, and they really are what you would expect for a support class. Her damage is way down at F, but it's not a problem. She only has one skill that actually does damage, that's her basic. Her speed comes in at 112, so that would make her a B rating, so that's really nice there. And her focus is up at A as well. Now that is relevant because on her basic she's got the ability to apply heal blocks, so you need the high focus for that to actually work. Now, also from an offensive perspective, and this is really important, when you max out her passive, which is something we'll look at in a moment, you actually gain speed up on spawn, and this can apply to the rest of the Wakandan members as well, and they'll have pretty decent speed as it is, with the exception of M'Baku, so the speed up on spawn can really get them off to a good start. So that's the offensive stats. Let's have a look at the defensive ones. For the defensive stats here, Shuri doesn't do great outside of raids, but when you run her in raids they would pull way up due to her passive. Now, we start off here anyway with the health, that would be a D rating. In raids she gets the additional 40% health, so that would pull her up to a B. You've then got her armour, which is a B. In raids that would go up to an A due to the additional 20%. Then you have her resistance, which is a C, which means she can be susceptible to stuns and slows, and they can give her a lot of problems in regards to her passive healing. Also from a defensive perspective, you've got the additional health armour we've already touched on. She has deflect, that she also gains in raids. You've got the defence up she can provide for 2 turns, and she's got a heal and a cleanse as well. So defensively she does very well, but I've mentioned it a few times, but I really need to hammer home the point. To make the most of Shuri, you have to run her in raids, and that's the way her stats have been set up, and that they're quite low, but they get that additional boost when you run it in that particular mode. So that's the defensive stats. Let's now have a look at her abilities. The first ability we look at here is the passive. It's got a massive tooltip, so bear with me as we go through this. It's called Wakanda Forever. With this, on spawn you apply speed up to self and all Wakandan allies, and that works exceptionally well with them because the majority of them are really pretty speedy as it is. Also, with this, on turn you heal the most injured ally for 10% of this character's max health, so in raids that works out at round about 10,000 health if she was 7-star without any red stars. While in charged, you heal an additional most injured ally for 10% of this character's max health when you lose one charged, and on defense up you generate ability energy for yourself. I have tested this with Vision because he provides defense up on spawn to take allies, but unfortunately it doesn't proc an additional 1 energy at the start of a fight for her. I was really looking forward to testing that, but I was let down, unfortunately. Now, if we look at the raid aspect of this passive, in raids, self and all Wakandan allies gain 40% max health, which is absolutely huge, and it's a reason that you really want to run them in raids more than any other mode. You also gain 20% armor, which is awesome because the Wakandan characters have really high armor as it is, and also in raids when self or any Wakandan ally, and an emphasis on any that can include Shuri, any of the other characters that have the Wakandan tag, when they drop below 50% max health, they gain free deflect. That can work especially well on the likes of M'Baku, because we know he gets the bonuses when he actually blocks an attack, and a deflect is a guaranteed block. Now, in regards to how high you want to take it, you want to max this out at level 5, and it's one of the highest priority tier 4 upgrades you actually make on the Wakandans. It guarantees your speed up on all characters, and it gives you that additional 20% max health in raids, so definitely max this one out. The next skill we have here is Vibranium Gauntlets. This is the basic, so with this you attack primary target and all adjacent targets for 200% damage. You're not doing much damage though due to that low damage rating. You also apply heal block to primary target for 2 turns. The difference between level 6 and 7 is a small amount of damage, and heal block only applies for 1 turn rather than 2. Now, getting heal block for 2 turns can be really nice for stopping a character the likes of, let's say, Iron Fist from actually healing up at all, so you can burn them down. However, I personally don't feel it's worth the tier 4 materials because there's so many other good upgrades for Wakandan teams, so it really is pretty tight. But for this one, I would say just keep this at level 6, but it is a good upgrade, but there's just simply too many other good ones that I would say take precedent over it. The next ability we have here is the special, and this is really pretty great. This is called Instant Upgrade. It's 4 turns to charge and comes fully charged, so you will use it on turn number 1, and you'll use it really at almost every opportunity. With this you apply defense up to self and all allies for 2 turns. If we think back to Shuri's passive, when she gets defense up she actually gains ability energy. So in a roundabout way this essentially has a 3 turn cooldown, and considering it offers 2 turns of defense up, that's really pretty amazing. Now, with this as well, you apply +1 charged up to a maximum of 5 to self and all Wakandan allies, and certain Wakandan allies, the likes of Black Panther, really do come alive once they've got charges. You also generate ability energy for 2 random allies, and then you generate ability energy for 1 random Wakandan ally. Now that last line there, the generating 1 energy for a Wakandan ally, is the only difference between level 6 and level 7, so this was a quite difficult one to figure out if it's worth upgrading, because if you use the Wakandans in the likes of Blitz or Arena, that additional energy at the start of the match doesn't really benefit Black Panther, Okoye or M'Baku. It only really benefits Killmonger. Whereas if you are running the Wakandans in raids, which is what you will most likely be doing, matches go on for longer, you have more chances of actually casting this, which means the energy may not be wasted depending on how high the other Wakandan members, their skills are actually powered up. So for that reason I would say that this just sneaks in at being a level 7 upgrade. And I'll also mention before we move on to the next one that the random energy did not apply to Shuri, unfortunately. It probably would be a bit too powerful if it did, to be honest, so that's just something to bear in mind anyway. The final ability we have here is the ultimate called Kimoyo Healing. Now it's 4 turns to charge, it doesn't actually come with any charges. However, if we think back to the special, when you actually cast that you gain ability energy, so it means this skill can come up a lot quicker than you would expect. Now, what does this skill actually do? So you heal the most injured ally for 500 health and 15% of this character's max health, so it's 7 star, that works out at around about 15,000 health. If the ally is Wakandan, you clear 1 negative effect and then repeat the above 4 additional times. So if you max this out at level 7, and I would say it is worth maxing out, then you actually have 5 heals doing 15% at a time and clearing 1 negative effect. Now this interacts quite interesting with the likes of heal block. So let's say you have a character that has low health and they have heal block on them. What will happen is the first heal will try and apply. If it was a Wakandan character, then what will happen is after the heal doesn't apply and they do 0 healing, you then clear the negative effect, and then you could do the additional 4 heals for up to, it would be 60% health. So I've seen this when I've used it in raids. Take a character whose health is way down, they have heal block, it strips the heal block and it almost pulls them up to full health. So it really is a great skill, and again, this is one that you're going to want to max out. Now, with all the skills covered, let's have a look at the synergies. When it comes to characters that you want to pair Shuri up with, due to the way she actually massively buffs the Wakandans in raids with that additional 40% health and 20% armour, as well as the speed up as well, they really are the core team that you want to run her with. You could possibly squeeze her into some other teams to try and take advantage of other characters that could apply the defence up, but it would be a bit of a waste. The one character that could potentially be an exception here and can be quite fun when I've actually tested it out would be Merc Riot Guard. If you drop him in a Wakandan's raid team, it's up to you who you drop. Just don't drop Shuri or Black Panther, I would say, but if you run him in this team, you can get into a loop in a way where he provides the defence up, which means her specials available, which means she provides energy, and then you can cast his defence up because it's on a low 2-turn cooldown. There is a little bit of randomness with it, but it's really pretty nice when it does actually work. So that's the character she can work well with anyway, not the most exhaustive of lists there. So let's check out the characters that you want to avoid, and also the characters that can work well in shutting her down. When it comes to characters that can give her problems, we've got quite a long list here, and that's not in any way to say that Shuri is weak, it's just there are ways you can actually work around her. Now, firstly, if you're running Shuri and the Wakandans, do not go up against the Brotherhood team, because if you watch my tier 8 Blitz video, they will absolutely smash them. There's just nothing you can do against them, so avoid them at all cost. You then have characters that have heal block. Yes, she can negate the heal block eventually via her ultimate, however, if that's not available, you're actually having her passive heal, which is wasted due to heal block on characters. So ones that can be really useful in applying that would be the likes of Kree Reaper. He has it for 2 turns, Mordo applies it to numerous characters, Pyro throws it out like it's going out with fashion when the enemy's health drop down, and then you've got Venom who can spread it to multiple characters as well. Now, talking about the passive and the passive heal, I've tested this, and when she is stunned it won't actually work, so that's a good way to slow her down as well. So characters that could stun her and are useful characters would be Black Widow, Mantis, Spider-Man, and you've also got Shield Security. That's if she's got slow and you cast a special heal, then turn it into a stun. You also have characters that can flip buffs, because at the start of the match you really want to use the special to get the defence up and get the charge on all your characters to get them going. If there's a Doctor Strange there that you can't burn down, then what he'll be doing is he'll be flipping that defence down that's on your characters for 2 turns, and that could give you a lot of trouble. The final section of characters we have are characters that apply a lot of buffs, because your only debuffing comes via Okoye, and she's not the most consistent at it. So you've got the likes of Kree and Minerva, you've got Shield, and you've got Hulk that since his rework just seems to randomly throw up buffs on himself, and he's a real wild card to actually take out, so he can be quite difficult when you go up against him as the Wakandans and Shuri. So that's all the characters you want to avoid, or characters you want to use if you're looking to lock her down. So let's now have a look and see where she places in the tier list. Now, just before we place Shuri in the list here, I'll mention the fact that I made a couple of small changes to the tier list based on the impact that she actually has on other characters. So you have the likes of Killmonger. Previously I didn't have any synergies attached to him because he was the first new Wakandan character to come out. Now that we have the full Wakandan team, I would say that he would move up 2 spaces to a high alpha character through synergies. He doesn't have the raid tag because he can actually perform very well in the likes of Blitz as well. You then have Black Panther. Previously he was +1 for synergies. Now with Shuri and the charges she gives them to make the ultimate absolutely godlike, that would move him up 3 slots, so that would take him all the way up to a mega character. No changes to M'Baku and Okoye in regards to their performance, their rating at all. I have removed the raid tag from Minerva because she's a character that since I reviewed her, I'm seeing her being used in a lot more modes, and she can really dominate in the likes of Alliance War Defence as well, so I don't feel it's fair to have the raid tag saying that she only shines in that mode. She shines in just about any mode. Now, in regards to Shuri, the hardest part of the placement was, do I add the R for the raid tag, or do I place her based on synergies? Now, the Wakandan team can perform okay if you actually run them in the likes of Tier 8 Blitz, but if they come up against Shield or Brotherhood or Kree, they will really struggle. So for that reason I will be placing her based on the raid performance, because she does offer that extra 40% health, the 20% damage, she makes M'Baku really pretty godly. So with all that in mind, raid performance wise, I would place her as a mid and mega character. Now the Wakandans, I'm not quite sure if they are as godlike as Fox Next did actually make them out to be when they were promoting this team, but they still are exceptionally good, and Shuri without a doubt is the key that really unlocks the potential of all the other characters. So let me know in the comments below anyway if you've unlocked the Wakandan team yourself, how you're getting on with them and what you think in regards to the in-depth review, and thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon.